Who is the best ever bodybuilder that never won the Mr. Olympia title? Serge Nubret comes to mind, but think about the question. I never said the greatest, I said the best. And with all due respect to Serge Nubret and anybody that competed back in the 70s, they're just not going to be able to compete with the guys even from the 80s. Look at Tom Platz. I mean, the advancements. And the thing of it is, Tom Platz competed in the early 80s, and there is just no way that even Tom could compete with the guys from the booming 90s, the mass monster era. I did a similar video to this, except I used only Mr. Olympia champions, and it was obvious, guys. Prior to Lee Haney's reign, even Lee Haney himself, they just didn't have the type of mass or condition to compete with the guys from the 90s. So don't expect to see the likes of Danny Padilla or Tom Platz in this feature. Now let us begin with Flex Wheeler. And this is not just the Olympia version of Flex Wheeler. This is specifically the 1993 Arnold Classic winning version of Flex Wheeler. And that's how we're going to do this. We're going to take one version of these bodybuilders and consider them for the greatest, or the best bodybuilder of all time that never won the Olympia title. And I can hear you guys now, but Mark's Max Muscle, the 1999 British Grand Prix, he was huge. Flex was huge there, but turn him around and he looked a little bit soft, especially compared to that 1993 Arnold Classic version. And we're not going to be doing huge comparisons in this one. I've done many comparisons with most of these guys, so I'm just going to use my own discretion, I guess, on who I believe will be winning this one. Maybe we'll do like a top 2 or 3 at the end. After Flex Wheeler, we have Shawn Ray from the 1994 Mr. Olympia event. He was mint. He was also mint in 1996, and I'm sure a lot of you people anyway are going to suggest that he was better. He had a better vacuum. He had maybe more polish. His legs looked bigger in 94. And when you look at the back, 1994 was the only really peeled, and I mean truly peeled, version of Shawn Ray. So I don't think there's any question 1994 absolutely will be the version that we are considering. Now, would Shawn Ray beat that version of Flex Wheeler? That would be tight. That would be very tight. So it is possible either Flex Wheeler or Shawn Ray could be the last two in this one, but I doubt it. Next in line, we have another 1990s great. This is Nasser El Sonbody, and need I say, he was a mass monster. He was the biggest one. And for this video, we are considering the 1997 version of Nasser El Sonbody. Olympia version, second place, by the way. And, Shawn got second in 1994. Should have reminded you guys that. He was huge, not Shawn, Nasser, and pretty aesthetically pleasing as well, considering there's some huge mass monsters with some big old Cassis bellies. He kept his midsection in check, very complete as well. So Nasser El Sonbody, this version here, may have very well crushed poor little Shawn and Flex Wheeler. But what could catch this guy is those back shots. Absolutely. So even if he does defeat the likes of Shawn Ray and Flex, these back poses, I mean, really, how far is he going to make it in this? So poor Nasser El Sonbody, definitely to be considered. 1997 is just as good in 96, if you ask me. Now, honorable mention goes out to this man, Chris Cormier. He's not going to be the best, but he's one of my favorites, so I figured I'd mention him. But the fact that he lost to Flex Wheeler, in my mind, a lesser version of Flex Wheeler than that 93 version, I guess he can pretty much write this dude off, but gosh darn it, he had the best abs and thigh. Him or Shawn Ray. Or Lee Priest, actually. Next in line is a legend. the 1997 Finland Grand Prix champion, Kevin Levrone. And I know, if I don't mention this version of this bodybuilder, you guys absolutely will. Was he really that much better than his Olympia showings? I think he was probably maybe a little bit better. But is he really as good as the legend? The legend says there is not one picture that I can find of this guy. Not one onstage picture of the Finland Grand Prix. And there's pictures of other bodybuilders. Just does not add up. There's even flashes. You can see somebody is flashing that picture. So there is pictures somewhere. So for this video, I have to really use my own discretion or maybe even imagination in a way. But I will tell you one thing. After watching bodybuilding all through the 1990s, putting all these guys on stage, all the guys I mentioned, all in those shapes that I mentioned, I would guess Kevin Levrone would best them. And it would have to be a guess because there is no pictures. Can't really do a comparison. And unless you're there, I mean, you can't really say for sure. But let's go down the pike and oh my. Günther Schlierkamp. And I know, I understand. The guy only placed 5th at the Olympia. That is the Olympia. For this video, we are considering any version. And this is the 2002, show of strength. And it was maybe the first time ever there was 300 pounds of striated, and I mean striated beef on that bodybuilding stage. This was before Ronnie King Coleman got huge. Günther Schlierkamp, he beat Ronnie King Coleman. That's right, guys. This version of Günther, the 2002 show of strength, beat 2002 Ronnie King Coleman, right smack dab in the middle of his prime. So this is not to be fooled around with. And I could just imagine you scienticians, you bodybuilding scienticians at home thinking, but Mark's Max Morsels, he was just as good in 2002 at the Olympia. Oh, was he? Was he really? I used to think that too. I also was confused. But look. Huh? Glutes? Who cares about striated glutes? Well, I think the judges do. You're only going to beat Ronnie King Coleman, especially an Olympia champion, if you are totally peeled inside and out. And I know, might be unpopular of an opinion, but Günther Schlierkamp, he would crush poor little Sean Ray. He's twice as conditioned. 300 pounds. Flex Wheeler would fall too. Admit it, guys. Admit it. Not the prettiest physique, but he can get the job done. About Kevin Levrone, nah, sir. Well, nah, sir would look pretty smooth next to him, and I don't know. Kevin will have to put on the back burner. And Günther as well. And here's another legend that, much like Chris Cormier, we're not really considering Marcus Urwel. As the legend goes, the 2002 Night of Champions. He was the best. He was peeled inside out. First of all he did was beat Bob Ciccarello. I mean, Bob's good. He's better than most people. But beating him doesn't make you the best of all time. And I recently scored this awesome picture of Marcus from the Night of Champions 2002. Look at that. You can see from the background. Go look at that front double bicep picture. It's the same background here. He is a little too smooth, Monsoon. Little too smooth, Monsoon. So he's not as peeled as the legend goes. But I figured I would mention Marcus Rule because I know you guys would have. And then you have Victor Martinez, an uncrowned Mr. Olympia champion. This is the 2007 Olympia version of him. He placed second to Jay Cutler. And the only reason I call him an uncrowned Mr. Olympia champion is I believe that he was the better man that night. If Jay didn't come in so very soft, as he did in 2007, I really don't think that we'd be considering Victor Martinez as perhaps the best bodybuilder of all time that never won the Olympia champion, but definitely worth to mention. All these uncrowned Mr. Olympia champions are. Now, in contrast here, we have Branch Warren, who's not an uncrowned Mr. Olympia champion, but he was better than Victor, who is an uncrowned. Do you understand? Never mind. Now, I'll be honest. Branch, not the prettiest physique of all time. Oh my goodness. Look at this type of condition. With all due respect to Sean Ray, maybe Sean might have been close to this, but not even. And half the size. Flex Wheeler, Nasser, Ellison Body, all of those guys, they would absolutely lose to this. Come on, we have to be honest with ourselves. Kevin Levrone, there's no pictures of him. You really think that he could compete with that? And Branch Warren, wow. He really did have some very aesthetically pleasing poses too. And he may have had a little bit of a wide waist, but he never had a double bubble, triple treble bubble gut. There's no bubble gut there. So Branch Warren definitely has to be considered. Who else do we have? Ooh, the hits just keep on coming. Kai Green, 2012. He's had many good renditions, including an Arnold Classic version, but I prefer the leaner, much more aesthetically pleasing 2012 Kai Green. Very impressive physique. And the back shots, his back may be his strong point. Was he as peeled as Branch, though? Jeez Louise. There are some good bodybuilders that never won the Olympia title, I'm here to tell you. And Kai Green is absolutely, could be on top of that heap. But first, a couple of other guys worth to mention, like Roly the Beast Winkler. I'm sure one of his fans would have mentioned him. He took third here in the 2018 Mr. Olympia event. The only two guys that beat him, both Olympia champions, so they don't count. He was very good, but I don't think that he would be able to get past that asteroid belt of Kai Green and Branch Warren. Maybe even not Gunther Schlierkamp either. You got to think how peeled and huge Gunther was. Could he beat the likes of Nasser and guys like that? Maybe. Would have been a heck of a matchup, for sure. And Nick Walker, another. I'm a huge fan of this guy. He's like the modern day Roly Winkler. And here at the 2021 Arnold's Classics. Come on, Billy. What are you doing over there? Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. Arnold Classic, Nick Walker, worth to mention. One of the very best. If you lined up all of the best bodybuilders that never won the Olympia title, he'd be up there. He wouldn't win, though. I don't think he'd be able to beat Branch Warren, would he? And then Andrew Jacked. He is very good. If I mentioned Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray, you got to mention Andrew Jacked. He'd probably get those guys, your Chris Cormiers. He's huge. He's a bigger version of those guys, perhaps. Very aesthetically pleasing, and may very well have the best abs and thigh out of all of the guys that I mentioned. Cormier and Sean Ray, all those guys. Flex Wheeler have incredible abs and thighs. And the funny thing is, now's not the time, Andrew Jacked. Now's not the time for good abs and thighs. So you really look good. Hattie's pretty good, though. But turn Andrew Jacked around, and no, absolutely not. I mean, Gunther, he's about the same size height-wise, and he was heavier and twice as peeled. Oh, sorry, Rob. Peeled. So peeled. Shredded to the dice, even. So my soul, figured I would at least mention the 2024 Texas Pro, Andrew Jacked. Incredible version, but not the best. In my estimation, these three guys would maybe be the best. You got Branch Warren, 2009, Gunther Schlierkamp, which is going to be an unpopular opinion, 2002, Show of Strength, and the 2012 Kai Green. Turn these guys around, and it is plain to see why I have them head and shoulders above everybody else. Their condition. It's all about the condition. Now, where does Kevin Levrone fit in this situation? Guys, gals, everybody in between, I love Kevin. He's awesome. And this is perhaps the best ever Kevin Levrone. But he's just not going to beat any one of these three. It's just not going to happen. Maybe Gunther. Okay, he beat Gunther in 2002 at the Olympia, but like I said, it wasn't even close. But I'm sure you guys will complain about Gunther, so let us narrow it down to the top two. In my opinion, these are the two best bodybuilders ever. Versions, one single version of each. Branch Warren, Kai Green. Wow, what a matchup. Branch, he is going to be the harder, grainier man. Nobody on this video was more conditioned than Branch Warren, in my opinion. Kai Green has the aesthetics, the flow, proportions. This guy is a work of art, for sure. Let's go through these shots here, these poses, so to speak. Slipped in a little bit of a comparison, didn't I? I'm sure some of you fellers just skipped ahead to this comparison. Now the front double goes to Kai. I see Branch doesn't have the best forearms. Biceps, triceps are okay. Kai doesn't really have the best forearms either, but they're a little better. And he kind of displays them, again, like a work of art. Both guys, not the smallest. Midsections, perhaps a feature that kept them both away from winning an Olympia title? Could be. Their quads definitely did not. Both of these guys are horses. And did you see Branch go flying off that horse? I'm sorry, Branch. If it was me, my little skinny frail frame going flying off a horse, I'm sure you would have tee-heed or chuckled a little bit. But yeah, I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Kai wins the front double, in my opinion. Now the front lat, I would also give to Kai. Without even looking at the pictures, I'd probably say that. But after looking at it, geez, Branch, not bad at all. Almost a Marge Simpson in there. You know what's funny is Branch with his bald chromius domius, little bit of a goatee. He looks a little bit like Homer J. Simpson. And Kai with his long hair looks like Marge.
Oh, come on, homie.
No? Well, maybe not. Maybe not. No way, shape, or form does Kai Green lose to Branch Warren in the front lat spread. That just sounds wrong. But look. Branch looks good, guys. It's close. It's close. Side chest development. And I can hear you guys now. But Max, muscle, you have missized this. What is wrong with you? Well, I did have a look at quite a few side-by-sides of these guys. They competed many times together. I find Kai stands taller in the side tricep pose. Or the side chest, rather. Go figure. Branch kind of sits down on that leg. Look at the size of that. League. Is that right? No, maybe not. Branch, very good. Kai, very good too, but I detect a little bit of a Cassis, even for his leaner version. Side tricep. Branch gets a couple back. If he's going to lose those first two, my opinion, firm opinion, he's getting both side. Side chest was close, but the Cassis took that victory away from Kai. So one could say a tie game heading into the back shots. And can you believe your eyes? Look at these two supreme athletes. We have Branch Warren, as peeled as they come, more shredded to the dice than anyone that I can think of. And then you get Kai, Not the best in the traps. Very thick in the lat insertion area. And Branch a little skimpy in that aspect. Now the lower half. Wow. I mean, Kai was conditioned. But what Warren brings, that kind of sounded neat. But what Warren brings is just a level up in terms of condition. It would have to be a much better back for Kai. He'd have to be out-muscling him, and Branch's back lat spread is not that bad. Traps are in. So Branch, he is winning this one. Go to the next back shot, the rear double by. See, it would have to be like this. Kai would have to be dominating the pose. Otherwise, Branch is going to win it because he is more conditioned and better calves. Kai has a good set, but Branch has the best set of calves in bodybuilding history. Steve Kuklow's were good too. And there was one other guy, I can never think of his name. Let us know in the comment section below. Who is that guy with those big calves? Forget his name. My soul. But yeah, I think Kai, he's still winning the pose. And like I mentioned, he ain't soft. He's anything but soft. Very conditioned. Wow, what a matchup. So I guess it's a tie game still. Abs and thigh pose. Yet another close one. But I would go with Kai on this one. Sure, those quads are chiseled for the Branch man. The Branch man. Those legs are like branches. Look at the size of them. But he's got a little bit of a torn lat. It's a little bit of a blemish. And his abs are maybe not as good as Kai's. Kai, for a big dude, he really pulled off a sweet abs and thigh. That was sweet, man. That's what we used to say in the 1990s. You sweet, man. Old people probably got mad at that. And now I see why. I see why. Here is the final shot. The final say. And I don't know. I think Kai was winning the abs and thigh, and I think perhaps he's taking away this most muscular as well. Even though Branch is just as shredded to the diced. So who's the best? Who's the best? Branch Warren? He's pretty darn good. I'd go with Kai Green. I think it's that close that you might even, zoom in on a little blemish like a torn lat. Things of that nature. Of course, it could go either way. And anybody that I mentioned. If you guys think that Kevin Levrone, 97, hey, maybe. If you think Marcus Rule, 2002 Night of Champions, you'd be wrong. Well, you're entitled. You're entitled to your own opinion. Things of that nature. But the funny thing is here, this is not to be misconstrued with an uncrowned Mr. Olympia champion. 2009, Branch Warren, not an uncrowned Mr. Olympia champion. Jay Cutler, he won clearly. Vice versa, or no, same thing. Is that? Yeah. Same thing with Kai Green, 2012. Awesome version. Outstanding. Maybe the 2014 could be considered an uncrowned Mr. Olympia champion because Phil really dropped the ball that year, but his best version is still 2012. But Phil was in his prime then, so no, he not to be considered uncrowned. And then you got Victor Martinez. He wouldn't even be close to the first call-out in this lineup. But he is, in fact, an uncrowned Mr. Olympia, in my opinion. But anyway, just a little bit of chit-chat at the end of this one. Hit thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Let me know. This is my opinion, guys. This isn't set in stone. I'm not a judge. Darn it, Jim. I'm not an escalator. Bones said that one time. I'm not an escalator. What did that even mean? Star Trek. I'm not a Trekkie. I watched the old one. Have a nice one.